I have been doing this for a really long time, okay? So long that when I started in online marketing, domain names were free. I've been doing this so long that in 1993, Anheuser-Busch approached my partners and I and said, "It appears that you children have Budweiser.com. We would like to build our first website." And we said, "We bet you would." So we'd like to buy that domain name. We said, okay. And we sold Budweiser.com in 1993 for 50 cases of beer. And we genuinely thought that we got a better deal. We're like, we can't believe they paid us 50 cases of beer. I went on vacation, and my partner registered some domain names when I wasn't there, so only he was on the domain name registration. In 2004, he sold beer.com. You can see a theme developing. He sold beer.com to Molson Brewing for $7.1 million. He has not worked a day since, and I am here with you. My lesson for today is never take vacation. Thank you, and good morning. I appreciate that. I love speaking at Content Marketing World. I've been here all 7 of the times that we have had this event. And I decided this year, I'm not going to do a keynote. I'm not going to do a speech. I'm not going to do what I would tell any other group. I'm going to tell you what I would tell you if my amazing content strategy team and I were in your conference room. I'm going to tell you the truth. Seth Godin has famously said, content marketing is the only marketing left. I think the fact that this conference exists and the fact that you were here at some level proves his point. But even more so, according to research from our benefactors, the Content Marketing Institute and their partners at Marketing Profs, 76% of marketers will create more content this year than in any year before. I presume that that is true for many of you. Raise your hand if you believe you'll create more content this year than any year before. Yeah, that's about 92% of this room. It does not take a math major to understand that if every single person is creating more content, that every conceivable audience or target audience you have is now besieged by content. Consequently, the truth is, most content fails. Most of your content fails, and most of my content fails. I'm not ashamed or embarrassed to admit it. And it's not going to get easier. The genie is not going back in the bottle. So much so that according to BuzzSumo, more than half of all content gets fewer than 4 social shares. More than 75% of all content gets 0 external links. Most content fails. Feel free to take pictures. Obviously, the slides will be in the app or whatever, their slideshow or whatever they're going to do. I'm also going to give you my email address during this presentation, and I'll send you the slides as well as a really special, cool template thing that I'm going to tell you about that I've never given out before in the history of the world, and I probably shouldn't, frankly, but I will. So don't feel like you got to take pictures of everything because I'll send you this stuff. Thank you. Only a third of content marketers say, when asked by CMI, Marketing Profs, that their work is effective or very effective, which means that 2/3 of us actually know that we're failing and will acknowledge it in a survey, which I think is a tremendous self-awareness. I think that's great. In the same survey, CMI and Marketing Profs found that the #1 challenge for both B2B and B2C content marketers is to create engaging content. Of course it is. Creating content isn't particularly difficult. It's creating content that actually works. That's the hard part. That's the trick. Here's the real problem. Every single marketer in the entire world, including all of us in this room and myself, tell themselves the exact same lie. The lie we tell ourselves is this: our audience is just too busy. They're too busy to go to the website. They're too busy to watch the video. They're too busy to sit in on the webinar. They're too busy to open the email. Does that sound familiar? It does, because we all say it, and it is total bullshit. They're not too busy. It's not about time. If somebody tells you that they're too busy, that's actually code. They're just trying to let you down easy. What they really mean, but will not say, is that what you have given them is not relevant enough. It's not relevant enough. Now, I know this to be true, because in our work as content strategists, we find, as well as our work on the Convince and Convert media side, our blogs, our podcasts, all the webinars and things that we do, I find a simple truth, which is that when you give somebody the information that they want, in the format they prefer, when they need it, the time necessary to consume that information magically appears. They will find the time if it's relevant enough. Content fails when it doesn't matter enough to trade time for information. That's it. That's the only reason content fails. It doesn't matter enough to your audience. That's it. That's the whole secret. It's the whole reason this conference exists, in my estimation. Relevancy is just a value exchange. Is it worth their time? Is it worth their attention? So not only does your content have to be incredibly relevant, but you're also competing for relevancy against a bunch of other things. There's lots of other competition for attention. You're competing against your actual competitors who are trying to create content around similar topics. You're competing against my wife. Whatever she might be saying on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, I have to pay attention to her. You're competing against each and every Kardashian. Everybody has their favorite. All of this is competition for attention. All of it is competition for relevancy and for time. Relevance is the killer app. The entire content marketing success formula is be more relevant. That's it. So I believe that there are 4 ways to fix your broken content marketing, become more consistently relevant, and in so doing, allow yourself to actually create less content with greater results, which I think everybody is interested in, right? We're creating so much content, so much of it fails, and you're like that's how we feel. We're like, oh my God, another thing that didn't work. Let's like more of those. Let's make more of those things that don't work. So 4 ways to fix broken content: be more relevant, and subsequently be able to create less content, not more. First thing, we have to fix our topics. One of the keys to relevancy is creating content that is about something that people are interested in. And that sounds incredibly basic, but if it was so basic, we'd be already doing it. And in many cases, we're not. As I have said in the past, I think I said this in my book, Utility, content that is only about your features and benefits is not content marketing, it is a brochure. And so right now, we are making a lot of brochures in a lot of different formats, and that's only so interesting, right? So we have to be a little bit wiser about specific topics. So at Convince and Convert, our consulting team, which works with many brands, as was mentioned by Carlos in the introduction, on content strategy, we have a process that we call the 5x5x5 topic archaeology method. I have never mentioned this before in a public setting. I will probably never mention this again in a public setting, but I will do it today. So here's how we do this. We identify with our clients up to 5 personas. How many of you actually have personas today that you've identified for your business? Good. That's fantastic, probably half at least. There are great sessions here at the conference about persona development. My friend Ardith Albee is one of the most brilliant persona consultants in the world. She's speaking here. If you didn't get to go to a persona session, you're interested, get the virtual pass. It will be worth your time. If you don't have personas, you probably know that a persona is a fake real person that epitomizes the needs and styles and wants and behaviors of a particular customer segment. So we work with our clients to identify up to 5 personas. Next, we understand the 5 stages of the typical sales funnel: awareness, interest, consideration, action, and retention. Your names for those funnel stages may vary a little bit in your own organization. That is not relevant. It is typically those 5 stages. Everybody with me so far? Excellent. So 5 personas, 5 funnel stages. Then for each of those funnel stages, we determine up to 5 key questions that customers need to have answered in their head satisfactorily in order to move to the next stage of the funnel. What do I need to know to go from awareness to interest? What do I need to know then to go from interest to consideration? What do I need to know to go from consideration to a purchase? Every single one of us goes through this exact same psychological process every time we buy anything. It doesn't matter if you're buying licorice or a car or a house or a Russian bride. It doesn't matter. You go through the same calculations. And you are not going to reach for your wallet until those questions are satisfactorily answered. Right? No one says, I'm going to buy this, I have no idea what it costs. No one says, I'm going to buy this, I have no idea whether it's quality. No one says, I'm going to buy this, I have no idea what the return policy is. There are things that we have to have clear in our head before we spend money on anything. Now, certainly in some categories, B2B, healthcare, financial services, there are even more detailed questions that have to be answered because those purchases are major. They're considered. You don't want to make a mistake. In fact, we do a lot of work in travel and tourism. Travel and tourism is one of the most considered categories because nobody wants to have a bad vacation. Right? They will hyper-research everything to make sure they don't have a bad vacation. So for each of those 5 categories and each of the 5 personas, we identify 5 questions that we have to get answered for people to move to the next stage. So it's 5 times 5 times 5 equals 125 questions. 5 times 5 times 5. Now, you can do this right now. You could grab a piece of paper and I could ask you to do this, and everybody here is a professional content marketer. You could do this. You could come up with 125 questions. But don't do that. Because there are ways that you can identify questions better than you just sitting there with a piece of paper and keeping your own counsel. Okay, there are ways to make your question identification process more accurate and better. First is to actually talk to customers. And here's the problem. How much do you really talk to customers? Here's my observation. Marketers don't know very much about their customers because most marketers don't actually interact with their customers, not anymore. Now, back in the day when I was selling domain names for beer, it was different. We actually talked to customers all the time on the phone, face-to-face. We interacted with customers consistently because there was no other choice. Now we're clicking a button and running reports and say, what does my Facebook Insights report tell me what my audience is? What does my Google Analytics report tell me about my audience? That's just a spreadsheet. That's not knowing your customers. The best way to understand your customers and create more relevant content is to get out from behind your desk and go talk to customers. And somewhere along the line, as marketing became more digital, we lost that. Right? We have yielded the customer interaction to other parts of the company, which is it's a shame, and we can fix that. You have the power to fix that. My friend Sterling Ball runs 2 companies. He runs the Ernie Ball guitar string and bass instruments company. He also runs a barbecue company called Big Papa Smokers. He is incredibly good at understanding customer wants and needs and what is relevant to his customers. He has tons of calls with customers, meetings with customers, events with customers, has multiple customer forums and online communities where he goes in there personally and interacts with customers. He told me, my goal, Jay, is to get so close to my customers that I can smell them. Which seems gross. But very good marketing insights come from that kind of behavior. How can you spend more time with your customers? Is something I'd like you to ask yourself on the way back. Second thing is, in addition to you spending more time with customers, you should probably spend more time with the people in your organization who do spend time with customers. and that is sales and customer service. In almost every organization, the people who really know customers are in sales and customer service, period. That's the list. That's the whole list. So if you're not doing regular check-ins with sales and regular check-ins with customer service to talk about what your customers are needing and saying and what their attitudes are, you're missing a huge opportunity to make more relevant content. Third thing, clearly there are tons of analytics and more all the time. There's a tremendous number of vendors here at the conference who've got secret sauce that will help you understand customers better. There's absolutely a place for analytics. I'm not suggesting that there isn't. We use it all the time. But I would prefer that we use it in concert with some of these offline tactics as well. You should also be mining social chatter. Many of you do that already, of course. But even things like, what are your customers saying in ratings and reviews? It's amazing to me. We do a fair amount of customer service consulting as well. It's amazing to me how often even corporate clients will have a robust process of answering Facebook reviews, tweets, Yelp, TripAdvisor, whatever the stuff is, G2 Crowd, whatever is in their business. And I say, oh, great, is that information? Who handles that? Customer service handles it. Well, does that go to marketing too? Do they get a report that says what customers are leaving reviews on? No, we do marketing. That's customer service. Like, whoa. If a customer is taking time to write a review, marketing needs to see that. Like, that's gold. That's just like free insights into what customers need and thinking. So social chatter is important. And the last one, of course, is search data, whether that is searches on your own website, which is a certainly underutilized report. Like, many of us have a search engine on our sites, but very few of us actually pull that report to say, what do people put in that box? That's a really telling report, because what that report is, shit we want we can't find. That's what that report should be called, because that's what it is. Obviously, keyword data as well from search engines. Lots of vendors here can help you with that as well. But all of these are the ingredients of better customer questions. So when you go through that 5x5x5 process, you need to add these to the mix and come up with better questions.